Now is Dr. Ofer Levy, Director of the Precision Vaccines Program at Boston's Children's Hospital and an FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee voting member. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Levy.
Thank you, Wilfred. A pleasure.
So is this abundance of caution a slight overreaction that risks doing lasting damage to the way people view this vaccine, or the sensible course of action?
Well, thank you for that, Wilfred. That is the question of the day, isn't it? I actually believe that this is the sensible course of action. This is done, as Dr. Fauci said, out of an abundance of caution. These are rare adverse events that were serious and associated potentially with the vaccine. The pause may only last for a few days so that FDA and CDC can investigate more carefully any potential link with these events. But I believe that by being so transparent and so rapid at responding to potential safety signals, in the long run, we will gain trust with the public around the safety measures around these vaccines. Even after we authorize these vaccines and millions of Americans get immunized, there is active and passive surveillance for the safety of the vaccines. And when a signal like this is detected, these were only 6 individuals, rare events, it's important to investigate them and be transparent about them.
Maybe this is the right course of action, the sensible course, as you say, but do you really believe that these events and the actions being taken are going to increase public confidence in the vaccine? I mean, just look at what's happened with the AstraZeneca one in certain markets across Europe. I don't think it's going to boost confidence, no matter what comes next.
In the short run, it will cause concern in the public. But we don't want to panic. These are rare events, right? And for most people who got the J&J vaccine, they're absolutely fine, safe, effective. But in the long run, I believe that transparency is the right course of action, because if you have large parts of the population not trusting that the establishment's being open about potential concerns, that erodes in the long term, erodes confidence in the entire enterprise. So it is a complex balance, but on the whole, I think this transparency is important. And I think that will give the American people confidence that the authorities care about any potential safety signal.
Dr. Levy, we give our kids a lot of vaccines: measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, on and on. I mean, what does the data show in terms of the potential for severe side effects? Aren't there serious problems and more than 1 in a million chances that happens, and yet we still give our kids a lot of them?
Well, look, there's no doubt that other than clean drinking water, vaccines are the most important medical intervention known to humankind. It's hard to overstate the beneficial impact of vaccines. People used to be afraid to let their kids go to the swimming pool because they're going to get polio. When was the last time anybody here was worried about polio? Vaccines are victims of their own success. We used to have smallpox around the world killing millions. Who worries about that anymore? So, but what we're dealing with here are new vaccines, new platforms, right? And so when you have a new vaccine, a new platform, vaccines have to be safe. You give them to healthy people. And we need to examine any potential side effect. Now, as Dr. Fauci said, they're going to look into the association. If there's a particular subpopulation that may be at greater risk of this kind of side effect, maybe there's a carve out, and that group, you recommend the other type of vaccine. That could, I don't want to prejudge the outcome, but that could be an outcome. It's characterized as a pause. It might only be for a few days to let the medical system digest the information and have good guidance both to patients and to providers. But I think this is the right course.
Dr. Levy, is there a coincidence or actually a causality or whatever the right word would be between the fact that these types of blood clots have arisen from both spike protein vaccines, AstraZeneca and J&J?
Right. Well, the challenge here, Wilfred, this is the challenge, is that, the phase 3 data, as you know, were presented at FDA. They were made available to the American people. This is a transparent process. Those were based on phase 3 studies of 30 to 40,000 individuals. This safety signal for the J&J vaccine did not manifest in that group. It only came to light once the vaccine was given to millions. That tells you how rare this clotting event is. But now that it's detected, it's a statistical argument. In other words, we know the background clotting rate in the American population based on general medical research. And now if we see an uptick in association with J&J, if the recipients of the J&J vaccine had a higher frequency of clotting than expected in the background population frequency, then it's a statistical argument. Right?
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.